what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with thousands of true school sports subscribers. We live here on YouTube. It's, what is it right now? It's Tuesday, January 22nd, 5:36 p.m. in South Florida. Gotta move this dish stuff out the way. Make this look somewhat presentable here. But yeah, man, I'm just gonna be going through some of the news today. Something I wanted to try out my channel because sometimes I shoot so many videos, you know, article after article. It gets a little bit repetitive, redundant. So I'm gonna try to see if I can see how this works. I'm gonna condense all the news into one live hangout. It'll also be a way for me to connect with my subscribers. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Let me see. Is there anybody in here right now? LR Chigga, what's up, champ? How you doing, man? Good to have you on. I'm gonna get started here in a second. Just give me one moment. I gotta make sure my sounds okay. I always get paranoid when I come on live because you just never know. You never know. But I hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everybody's just enjoying their day today and whatnot. Let me see. How do I sound? See how I sound on here. Hope everybody's okay. Anyway, let's get into the news. I wanna anybody who funnels in and wants to drop a comment, you drop a comment down there, and I'm gonna get through it. But I actually had like a bunch of news like in front of me, like a bunch of news videos related in front of me. So I'm gonna run through them, and you guys can chime in as you see fit. So we'll start off with today's big news. As you can see in my title of this video, that Demetrius Andrade versus Billy Joe Saunders has in fact been ordered by the WBO. Earlier today, a ruling was handed down by the WBO that they will lift the suspension of Billy Joe Saunders, and he will and that he is declared the mandatory challenger for Boo Boo Andrade's title. You know, interesting stuff, man. I gotta say, interesting stuff. It's crazy how things can turn around like that in boxing. You know, it's not like incredibly like surprising because, you know, how often is it that boxing sanctioning bodies actually, you know, withhold follow through on their suspensions for a long period of time. It's very seldom that it does happen. But you know, as for the fight, you know, Saunders versus Andrade was a fight that I really wanted to see. As many of you may remember, it was slated for that big one of DAZN's first big cards in Boston. And because, you know, they're trying to make Andrade more of a name, they're trying to build his profile, so they were trying to build him a home base in Boston. And that fight right there with Saunders was supposed to be the first like big fight for him in Boston. And then instead, you know, Saunders failed a drug test, and now and then Andrade went on to fight Walter Kakadamwa, whatever his name was, the African guy he fought, who was really tough, by the way. I'd like to see him again against another like lower level middleweight. But it's good that this is happening, man, because Andrade needs to be in important fights like this. You know, his last two fights, you know, he fought Walter Kakadamwa and replaced him for Saunders. Then in his last fight, he fought Arthur Akavov, you know, a guy who also fought Saunders when Saunders was out of shape. Damn near beat Saunders. It was one of the worst performances of Billy Joe's career. But you know, I think this is the fight that Billy Joe will really get up for, man, because a big problem with Billy is, like, you know, and you can go look at the course of his career. He tends to just balloon up in weight. You know, his last fight, he fought some random guy at cruiserweight, you know, or whatever it was. Made his cruiserweight debut. Looked fat as hell. You know, wasn't really motivated, but got the win. Same thing when he fought Arthur Akavov. Arthur Akavov, you know, good amateur, but not really well known. You know, didn't get up for it. Came in really fat. So Billy Joe will be fighting Saunders, a guy that people rate highly, a guy that people just know is going to go in there and put his best foot forward. And, you know, when they do fight, I'm going to favor Andrade to defeat Saunders because, you know, Boo Boo's one of them guys, man. To me, you know, a lot of people don't really give him the credit he deserves. I think he's a complete fighter. You know, the guy has fantastic boxing skills, really good footwork, good head movement, can fight going forward, can fight going backwards. He brings a lot to the table, and Billy Joe is gonna have to figure out how he's gonna crack the code, you know. So it's a good fight. It's a good fight, and I'm happy the WBO lifted the suspension. You know, PEDs are part of boxing. I've kind of just come to the reality that PEDs, steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, they're part of boxing, and they're not just part of boxing. They're part of like fitness in general these days. Like you know, I went to the gym this morning at like 5 a.m. and like you see people steroided up in the gym. So people ain't even going to the gym and working out naturally. You know, but me, we talk BT. We talk about what I'm packing. All natural, clean. We just drink water. But PEDs are just a part of life in general, you know? So it happened. Billy Joe, only way I see him winning this fight is if he outboxes Demetrius Andrade, and I don't see that happening. I think Andrade is a little too skilled for him to outbox. But we'll see what happens, man. It should be a good fight when it comes up. I'm happy to hear that it is happening because this is another big fight in the middleweight division where you know we're having some big fights. You know, we got Jacobs, Canelo, we got this fight with Andrade and Saunders. You know, any moment now, Triple G should be making an announcement about what he'll do next. So the plot will thicken once that happens. So it's a good time to be a middleweight, middleweight champion, middleweight contender at 160. You know, it's a really good time to be in the mix. So yeah, Andrade versus Saunders ordered by the WBO should be really good stuff. But it'll definitely be like one of those fights where you could say like it'll be a battle of jabs, it'll be a battle of range, it'll be a battle of like you know, who can dictate the pace, who can dictate the rhythm, who can dictate, you know, the manner in which the fight is fought. Okay, you see what I'm saying? That's what Saunders versus Andrade I think will be. It'll be a chess match, and it'll be two southpaws. It'll be a southpaw chess match. Something we rarely ever see in boxing. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing it when it does happen. But that's the big news for today. Anybody who wants to comment on that, can you drop your comments down below? My man KODH TV, but he said battle of the jab. It will be a battle of the jab. You know, both these guys have exceptional jabs. I would say that in terms of technical skills, these are two of the better middleweights in the division. You can make the argument if you want to that these might be the two best technically sound boxers in the middleweight division. But I know you have like Jacobs, you have Triple G. So I mean, you know, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's still an argument that could be had. My man Ann Jane Morrison says Saunders will beat the brakes off of Boo Boo. Okay, well, hey, that's how you feel, man. I'm a favorite Saunders, Andrade in that matchup. I just think he's bringing more to the table. But hey, to each his own. By the way, anybody who's in here right now, and I know there's not a lot of people in this Google Hangout at the moment. There's only 3 of you in here, so it's almost like I'm FaceTiming y'all right now. But let me know what city, what state, what continent are you watching the Google Hangout from. Let me know where. Just let me know what city you represent and all that stuff. As you guys know, as always, you know, I'm checking in from the greatest city in the world, and that's Dania Beach, Florida. So moving on to the next story that I have here in the little document. Kell Brook, the latest news on Kell Brook. Now, Kell Brook, obviously, he's coming off of a performance against Michael Zarafa, which, to say the least, it left a lot to be desired. It was less than stellar. He did not look good at all. But he's pondering his next move. He's looking to see what's next in his career. Obviously, the Amir Khan thing did not happen. The mega fight Amir Khan did not happen, as Khan has decided he's going to fight Terrence Crawford. So now it's been reported by BoxingScene.com that Kell Brook is looking at 3 options for his next fight, okay? And they're all notable names, okay? So the 3 options are as follows. You have Jeff Horn, Jesse Vargas, and Liam Smith. Interesting stuff, man. You know, honestly, I think that the most intriguing fight of the 3 of those, to me, would definitely be Jeff Horn versus Kell Brook, because Kell Brook, the thing we question most about Kell Brook right now is his durability, is his, you know, how much can he withstand, how much is still left in the tank, and things like that. We're questioning that about Kell Brook. And Jeff Horn, with the way he fights, the way he kind of just presses you, and for better or for worse, is, you know, throws his elbows, throws his head. He's not afraid to get down and dirty in the trenches. You know, we saw that in the Pacquiao fight. So with that being said, you know, I think that fight will really test Kell Brook's heart. Of those 3 fights, I think that's the one that's the biggest test of Kell Brook's heart and his durability is Jeff Horn. As far as skills, obviously, you know, Jeff Horn is not the most skilled fighter in the world, but he's someone that he does have a pinch of skills. He has a lot of toughness. He's had to go through a lot to make it to this level in boxing. So you got to give him credit for that. And I think it's one of those fights for me. If Kell Brook can't beat Jeff Horn, then we really should be talking about Kell Brook anymore as far as at that top level. Because as good as Jeff Horn is, and as much as he may test Kell Brook, when you have the kind of skills that the Kell Brook has, you should be beating the likes of Jeff Horn. And if you can't beat the likes of Jeff Horn, then it really just shows that you have just lost so much as a fighter. So that's that. Then you have Jesse Vargas, which is another interesting fight. Jesse's a guy that Kell Brook was supposed to fight a couple years ago. I believe it was 2016. Before he fought Triple G, that fight fell through. So this is a fight that I wouldn't mind seeing. It's a fight that I wanted to see then. I'll still watch it now. And then, you have Liam Smith. Liam Smith is a durable, tested, full-fledged 154-pound fighter. And if Kell Brook is looking to go the 154-pound route, then beating a guy like Liam Smith, I think, would do wonders for him. And if he could go in there and look good against Liam Smith, then more power to him. I think it would be a massive redemption over what we saw in his last fight. Because his last fight against Zerafa, I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm a huge Kell Brook fan. I love Kell Brook. He's probably of the active fighters, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. But as of right now, I just don't see him doing much. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, but I highly doubt that I am wrong. But he had some quotes to Sky Sports about his upcoming fights and his options. Here's what he said in the comments down below in his quote. He said, I quote, "Yeah, Jeff Horn's a name, an Australian fighter. I've heard Jesse Vargas being mentioned. He is a name. He's been in with some top operators. The options are there. They got to make good business sense and overall right for us, and be the overall right fights for us. There's many options for me. It's not like I haven't got any options. I'm a known name in America from fighting Errol Spence and beating Sean Porter and fighting Gennady Golovkin. My name is there. It's relevant. These names, these top fighters, we can make those fights happen, and that's what we're going to do. I wouldn't mind going to America now. I boxed at Sheffield Arena a lot of times in England. I boxed a couple of times in America. It would be nice to fight some big fights in America. Me and Liam Smith have been mentioned before, and if they announce me and Smith, I think the fans will like the fight. It's a good fight. I've sparred with him a few times before. He's better than I thought. He's a very good fighter, so I think it's possible that fight could be made." End quote. So that's Kell Brook. So also expressing a desire to come to America. I wouldn't mind Kell Brook coming to America. I mean, I don't think I don't want to see, to be honest with you, as a Kell Brook fan, I don't want to see Kell Brook jump in with like Tony Harrison or Jarrett Hurd or any of those guys. I don't think he's ready for them, and I really want to know if he's shot. So Liam Smith would be a good test. Jeff Horn would be a good test. If he's going to fight Vargas, then that would be insinuating that he's going back to 147, which I don't think he should do. He needs to stay at 154 because unless he's fighting Amir Khan, there's no reason for him to be at 147 killing himself to make all that weight. So with that being said, man, I look forward to seeing what Kell Brook does next. I'll be honest with you about Kell Brook. He got a new trainer in John Fuchs, a guy that he fought in amateurs multiple times, a guy that was a domestic level fighter in England. Was a solid boxer. But Fuchs, John Fuchs, as far as him as a trainer, I like his attitude. I like the mentality he's bringing towards Kell Brook's camps. But I'll be honest with you, man. When I watch this fight against Zerafa, maybe this will change as they continue to gain more familiarity with each other. He was giving Kell way too many damn instructions. Like when you're a trainer, you gotta keep it simple for your fighters. Like for example, you tell him to walk him down, and you explain how he walks him down, or if you say start boxing him, explain how he needs to box him. Does he feint? Does he box off his back foot? Does he move laterally? You explain those things to the trainer. But what you don't do, what you don't do in the corner, is tell your fighter like 7 things to do, because there's only a minute that he's sitting down and he's recuperating, and everything's going by so quickly. So you need to make things as simple as possible for the fighter. And I think Fuchs, from what I saw in his last fight with Zerafa, not to blame this for Kell Brook's bad performance, but I'm just saying, like, Fuchs was giving him so many instructions. I think he just needs to simplify it, and he'll make life a little bit easier on Kell. But that's just my opinion. So you got Vargas, you got Horn, you got Liam Smith. Those are some options for Kell Brook. I think if he wins any of those fights and is able to look spectacular, then it'll put him in line just like that for some big fights. I believe, at least. So we'll see what happens with Kell Brook moving forward. But moving on to our next topic. Okay, we have. Let me pull it up. Our next topic is I just made a video about this that I'll be out tomorrow. It's a bit of an old news. People have documented it already, but I wanted to talk about it while I'm here live with you guys. Vladimir Klitschko has, in fact, discussed a 3-fight deal with DAZN that would end his retirement. Interesting stuff, because I'm not going to lie, you know, when Vladimir retired, I would have thought he was retired. You know, I didn't think he was going to be I didn't think he didn't strike me as the kind of guy that would come out of retirement after he lost to Joshua. And the way he lost to Joshua, the type of fight it was when he fought Joshua was just so good. In my opinion, it was the signature fight that his career had been longing for. Even if it was in defeat, it was a signature fight he needed. So that's what it is there for Vladimir Klitschko. It is interesting. The article that I have on Ring Magazine says that the deal, if completed, would make Klitschko a global ambassador for the DAZN brand. It is also worth noting that the other global ambassador for DAZN, because DAZN does a lot of sports. They do like soccer. They do like MMA, obviously. Their other brand ambassadors are a pretty big name in the world of sports. A guy named Cristiano Ronaldo, who's a pretty damn big deal. So it would obviously give Klitschko a high ranking, a high position within the platform. And I'm assuming, you know, it would be a major thing if he did sign with DAZN. So that's that. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Anyway, it is worth noting because most people don't know this about DAZN. Now, a lot of people think that Eddie Hearn owns DAZN. He doesn't own DAZN, and they think that like the English guy John Skipper, he owns DAZN. Those guys don't own DAZN. The guy that owns DAZN, you don't even see it, and that's a guy by the name of what's his name, Len Blatvinik. He is the majority shareholder of DAZN. He's worth $16.3 billion. I believe he made most of his money in like the steel and mining industry. And he, like Klitschko, is Ukrainian. So that's why I think the DAZN rumors might hold some weight with me, just because I know the guy who owns the platform is Ukrainian. He has the money. And he has the kind of fights at the heavyweight division that could lure a Vladimir Klitschko out of retirement. You see what I'm saying? So what they were saying is, for his 3-fight deal, they're saying the first fight will be a tune-up fight, okay, right? So a comeback fight. Then second fight would be a rematch with Tyson Fury, which he's not going to win because Tyson Fury will box his ears off. And then the third fight would be a rematch with Anthony Joshua. So they're looking for fights with Joshua. They're looking for fights with Fury. They're looking for the biggest and best events, you know, best fights. And, you know, I don't know how much bigger those fights could be, but I mean, they're looking to do them. I'm sure they would do good numbers. It is also worth noting that if he's going to return, you know, Dillian White could be an option for Vladimir Klitschko, as well as maybe even Deontay Wilder. You know, Deontay Wilder, that's the fight I really want to see. If Vlad comes back, the fight I would really enjoy watching him participate in would be him fighting Deontay Wilder, because that was a fight where Wilder beats the run for the title in 2015. You know, it would have been cool to see the fight for Undisputed, and we never got to see it for years because Shelly Finkel, you know, was like, oh, when Wilder was a champion, he's like, oh, he's a kid, we can't rush him, and they never thought twice about fighting Klitschko. So, you know, it was unfortunate it didn't happen, but if he comes back, that's probably, like, of all the fights, I know it's not very realistic, but it's probably the fight that I would like to see the most. But yeah, so tune-up, Fury, and Joshua are the 3 fights being discussed right now for Vladimir Klitschko. He has come out and said that right now he's kind of shooting down the talks of retirement, or return. But I'm not buying it. I'm actually starting to believe it now that I'm reading this article a little more. You know, remembering now that the guy who owns the majority shareholder of DAZN is Ukrainian, it just makes all the sense in the world. So we'll see what happens with Vladimir Klitschko. You know, the plot will in fact thicken even more in the heavyweight division if he does come back. And whether or not he can win these big fights, I mean, I don't know. I don't see him beating a Joshua or Fury, but you know, that remains to be seen. We'll just wait till the contracts are signed and the fights take place, and the ring will be the chamber of truth, you know. So yeah, Vladimir Klitschko 3-fight deal with DAZN, that's being discussed as well. You know what else? Moving on to the next topic. All right, moving on to the next topic. Oh, this one was pretty controversial. Let's talk about this. This one was pretty controversial. Okay, now I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know the whole story because nobody, in fact, knows the whole story. But it was reported a couple days ago that Sergey Kovalev reportedly had punched a woman in Big Bear, California, in the face, and he is now, it's now come to the light, and they were saying he followed this girl back to her cabin. He punched her in the face. He broke her nose, gave her a concussion, displaced a disc in her neck. Kovalev put them hands on this woman apparently, and he's facing charges for a felony assault for punching a woman last June in Big Bear, California. Now, for any of you who follow my channel for any amount of time, you would know that I am a massive fan. I love Sergey Kovalev. He's probably one of my favorite fighters to watch. When he fought Ward the first time, I defended. I thought he won. I thought he got robbed. Even the second time, I thought, and I went to this. I paid my hard-earned money. I flew to Vegas. I saw the second Ward Kovalev fight, and I thought, he was done wrongly there. But ever since the first Ward fight, man, his whole career and life has seemingly been taking L's left and right. But I pray for them and hope he does well. Kovalev had a statement in regards to the wow. Before I get into the quotes, it is worth noting as well that if he is convicted for these felony assault charges by this woman, who apparently hit in Big Bear, California, he could serve a maximum amount of 4 years in prison. So just not good stuff for the former light heavyweight champion of the world and the man in the division. Here's what Kovalev stated in regards to the situation. He said, I quote, "Dear friends, boxing fans, and everyone who is up to date with the latest high-profile news regarding me, I would like to ask all of you not to make hasty conclusions on the situation in which I am accused and put it into an entirely biased light. After all, you do not know the details of what happened. For me, this most of all seems to be a performance in which I play the main role, not willingly. Doesn't it seem strange to you that the incident happened in June of last year and they announced it on the eve of my rematch against Alvarez?" It's interesting. So, yeah, man. Now, look, Kovalev has done some suspect things in the past, man. And he's done some things that have been hard to defend, like straight up the whole Adonis Stevenson thing. He's been called racist by many people in his camp. I don't know Kovalev personally. I've never met him personally. I'm just a fan of his boxing skills. But he's in some deep crap, man. Like, he needs to really just get on his knees and pray to God that nothing bad happens to him, because this is a serious thing. And now with the way America is now, like, especially in America, like we've seen what can happen to people when a woman accuses you of something, whether it be falsely or not. Whether he's rightly accused or wrongly accused, he is wrong. He is accused. And when you go to the court system in America, you're putting yourself you're in big danger when a woman is accusing you of something and you get to court. So I'm just like, I really hope that first of all, I don't know what happened. This came out of the left field. He's got a fight February 2nd in Frisco, Texas with Alvarez, the rematch. So hopefully he can, stay focused on his fight, because, his career is in a bad place right now. He hasn't had a big win in quite some time. He lost the Ward twice. He got knocked out by Alvarez. He's fighting Alvarez again. He's favored to lose. He's expected to lose in the Alvarez rematch. So he really needs to do what he can to right the wrongs of his career of the last couple of fights. And this is not something good for him. So we'll see what happens with Kovalev. As more news comes out, we will be covering Sergey Kovalev's case with the with him punching the lady out, supposedly. So that's that. Let's see, going on to the next story. Let me see. Let me get to some of these comments. So we got some comments here. Belfast, Ireland. What's up? Shout out to Belfast, Ireland. Drew Nanango says Ronnie Shields will be making his fighters depressed as hell with this corner advice. That's true, man. Ronnie Shields be moving his fighters in straight tears with his corner advice. Like like Ronnie needs to chill out sometimes with his corner advice. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like I agree with the whole Ronnie Shields thing. Guest card says, "What do you think of Amir Khan?" Now, let me answer your question, guest card. I'm like, I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with Amir Khan. Like, I used to be a massive fan of Amir Khan. I would even go as far as to say at one point in time he may have even been one of my favorite fighters. But as time went on, like the way he just continued to chase Pacquiao and Floyd and wasted. I thought he wasted his career when he could have been a more important fights. And then like the whole Kell Brook thing, it really rubbed me the wrong way. But you know, this is still a man that is he takes on big challenges. He's got balls. You know, he's always in exciting fights. So I respect him. I like Amir Khan, but hopefully, but really, I'm not like the biggest fan of him anymore. But I wish him the best with his fight against Crawford. I don't think he's gonna win. I think he'll probably get stopped inside of 6 rounds. But I think if he puts it all together in this fight, I think he can give Crawford a tough 7-8 rounds. You know, I think that's like the best he can do against Crawford is a tough 7-8 rounds. But anyway, I want to move on to the next story. So this is story right here, boxing.com. Basically, it's about Badou Jack, man. Badou Jack, fresh off his loss to Marcus Brown, Sir Marcus Brown. You know, not a good, not a good performance from Badou Jack. You know, this is a fight where Marcus Brown, he outsmarted Badou Jack, he outthunk Badou Jack, he outfought Badou Jack. And he really, in my opinion, Marcus Brown, all the criticism he's gotten in his career, because you know he got a lot of criticism for boring performances, like in his last fight against Lean Castillo. You know, he had the fight against Hot Rod in 2016, where I was there. I thought he lost. A lot of people thought he lost that fight. This is the fight to me where I think he put it all together. You know, he really improved himself to be a really good light heavyweight. And my thing is, like, if Marcus Brown can fight like that, you know, the way he was going to the body, the way he stuck to his game plan, because you got to understand something. When your opponent has a big gash on his head and you see him bleeding, there can always be like an urge to want to just go for the head and forget about the body. But Badou Jack, no matter how red Badou Jack's face was, Marcus Brown continued to go to the body, and I think that showed really good at boxing IQ from him. And I just think, like, if he's able to fight with that kind of composure, with that kind of you know, dedication to his game plan, sticking to his game plan, that I think Marcus Brown can really be something in this light heavyweight division. You know, he might give Alexander Vazik a little bit of trouble, and who knows, man? It's boxing. You never know what could happen. So you know, just good performance from him. I thought I picked him to win the fight before. He won and then got the job done. So I liked what I saw from Marcus Brown. You know, but getting back to Badou Jack, you know, Badou Jack had no excuses against Marcus Brown. Like he didn't make any excuses following his loss to Marcus Brown. Badou Jack lost his fight. He lost his fight. He had a big, massive gash in the middle of his forehead. I mean, oh my God. I think he had to get like, what was it? How many stitches was it? I'll find it. He got like 50 stitches or 25 stitches. It was a lot of stitches. The middle of his head looks like a baseball with how stitched up it is. Like it's insane. But for me, like in boxing, you can always it's very easy for a fighter to act like he's this, to act great and act you know a certain way when he's winning. But when he loses, when a fighter loses, that's when you really see their character. And I think Badou Jack handled himself very well in the defeat against Marcus Brown. Didn't make no excuses. Didn't blame the head clash. You know, here's what he said. He said, I quote, "I would like to thank all the fans of for your support. The cut was a nasty one, but I'm fine now. Congrats to Marcus Brown, who fought a great fight. Regardless of the cut, he was a better man tonight. I'm a warrior and will never quit, but didn't realize the severity of the gash. I dedicated this fight to the refugee children across the world who fight a much tougher fight than I did tonight. I will continue to fight for them until the end." End quote. So there you go, man. This man Badou Jack, man. I'll say this: there's not many fighters that I have nothing bad to say about, but he is one of them, man. This is a guy that, you know, early in his career he took some some losses to the likes of Derek Edwards. You know, he did. You know, he didn't look good early in his career. You know, but he came a long way. You know, he beat the likes of George Groves, won the world title. You know, a lot of people thought. You know, I thought he beat DeGale. I thought he beat Butte, and you know, he made a good career for himself. He really did. He really made a good career for himself. So you know, I'm gonna continue to follow his career moving forward, and I wish nothing but good health and great fights if he continues to fight on and moving forward in his career. So yeah, nothing but respect and love for the great Badou Jack. Staying in the light heavyweight division, you know, like I said, Marcus Brown, he delivered a fantastic performance. You know, a fantastic performance against Badou Jack. You know, and I don't think it's getting talked about enough about how good his performance was. I really thought he just put it all together this fight. You know, he's obviously someone who has a lot of amateur experience, a guy that is very athletic, a guy that has good footwork, a guy that does have some boxing IQ. And in this fight against Badou Jack, he found a way to put it together. He showed a little bit of everything. He showed boxing skill. He showed the ability to fight. He showed the ability to hang in there when Badou Jack smothered him and got in those trenches. And he was just a sharp fighter on the night. But in light of that, Marcus Brown is in line he's in line to fight Alexander Vazik. You know, that's a fight that should be coming off soon. You know, because now that he beat what's his name, Badou Jack, and he captured the WBA interim light heavyweight title. You know, he'll be in line to fight Alexander Vazik coming up real soon. So here's what he said in regards to, you know, just like fighting Alexander Vazik, because there is a bit of history there with Alexander Vazik. Maybe not him, but his trainer, Teddy Atlas. Here's what Marcus Brown had to say in regards to a future fight with Alexander Vazik. He said, I quote, he thought, and when he says he's referring to Badou Jack, he thought he was going to take me to the deep water and drown me, but I was in shape. Teddy Atlas, you think you're the best light heavyweight? And Alexander Vazik, nah, let's go. I use my athletic ability, and I did what I do best. I boxed the hell out of people. So that's that. So Teddy Atlas, for those of you who don't know, Teddy Atlas and Marcus Brown do have a bit of history. Teddy Atlas has a gym in New York City, a very popular gym in New York City. It's I believe it's in Staten Island or Brooklyn. I'm gonna say it's Staten Island because that's where Marcus Brown is from, because that's how he knows Teddy Atlas. There's a gym in New York City called the Teddy Atlas Cops and Kids Gym. It's a boxing gym in New York City where you know, police, New York City Police Department, you know, people like they got a gym there. There's some cops there who run a boxing program for the kid that keeps kids out of trouble, and it even goes beyond boxing. Like they have like they make sure these kids are getting the good grades in school, like they're studying and things like that. So the kids come in, they do their homework before they train, and then they train. It's like a real good thing they got going on there in New York. It's actually like one of the boxing gyms that next time I go to New York City, I will definitely want to go visit. Well, Marcus Brown trained in that gym, and he's one of a couple fighters that have trained in that gym. He trained in that gym. Christopher Lil B-Hop Colbert, who's a prospect coming up, he trained in that gym. Teddy Atlas, you know, he worked with this gym very extensively. He actually donated a bunch of money, and his name is on the gym. So it's literally now it's the Teddy Atlas Cops and Kids Gym, and that's how Marcus Brown knows him. And Vazik, ironically, is the guy that he's gonna be fighting, and the guy who his name is on the gym he trained at is Vazik's trainer. So he's obviously feels some type of way about that, and you know, he wants to show that he's the best light heavyweight in the world. So it is what it is there. But I'm looking forward to seeing Marcus Brown, man. Like, I never thought those words would come out of my mouth, but after what I saw the last fight, after I saw how he was able to put together the positive he's always had in his skill set, from his footwork to his boxing skills to, you know, that kind of stuff. He put it all together, and he even showed some boxing IQ, and it makes me think that Marcus Brown is probably a better fighter than I wanted to give him credit for in the beginning. So just big shout out to Marcus Brown. Looking very forward to his career moving forward. So yeah, that's that. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got? I'm gonna get your guys' comments in a second, but you know, just for those of you who are here right now, like the 90 that are here right now, you know, let me know what city, what state, what continent you're watching this from tonight. Hold on a second. My boy Alex is here. 1 second, guys. But yeah. So that's that. But see, moving on to the next thing. Now I haven't had a chance to talk about Canelo versus Daniel Jacobs at all, like at all. So before I even get into what I want to talk about, let me just say that fight right there, I'm excited for it. I think first of all, I was a bit surprised when they first announced it because I did not believe that was a fight Canelo would be taking anytime soon. Daniel Jacobs is a dangerous middleweight. Daniel Jacobs is capable of beating any middleweight on the planet. He's one of the most crafty, one of the most skillful middleweights out there. So, I got to give Canelo credit because that last fight he had against Rocky Fielding, this is obviously a massive step up from that. And, all of a sudden, looking at Canelo's last, 4 fights, he's fighting Triple G twice, and then he had to fight Fielding, and now he's fighting Jacobs. So, Triple G twice and then Jacobs three times in the last 4 fights, let's put some respect on Canelo's name. I think it'll be a good fight for him. It's good to see him get in there with someone who's an experienced former world champion, a guy that has the athletic ability to present some things Canelo's probably never seen before. So we'll see, man. But in regards to this fight, Michael Coppinger, big shout out to Mike Coppinger, putting in work. He reported that Canelo Jacobs has a rehydration clause. The second day weigh-in is at 8 a.m. the day of the middleweight title fight. Neither guy can weigh more than 170 pounds. Penalty is $700,000 per pound. Okay, so interesting stuff because the reason why this is interesting because if you guys may remember when Daniel Jacobs fought Gennady Golovkin, he missed the IBF second day weigh-in on purpose to have that extra weight on him so that when Triple G hit him, he wouldn't feel it as much because he's been cheating. So he came in, but he came in over what the IBF allowed him to come over. He didn't do the second day weigh-in. Now they put in a nice little rehydration clause, which is interesting that Canelo of all people is putting in a rehydration clause because this is a guy that on fight night, oh my god, this guy will come in at freaking as a damn near cruiserweight. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds. Hopefully there's not too much fishy stuff that goes on because we know Canelo's day side. We know that anybody who fights him, not just Jacob, but anybody who fights him, really, because the zone just paid $365 million to get him on the platform for like 12 or 13 fights or whatever it was. So you're gonna really need to go in there and beat Canelo. You can't just go in there and kind of beat him. You need to really beat him because there's a lot of money behind him. There's a lot riding on Canelo. But regardless, it's a good fight. It's the kind of fight that if you said, Brennan, what fights should Canelo be in next? This would have been one of them. So, fair play to him, fair play to the zone for making the fight happen. Looking forward to it. Next thing I wanted to kind of talk about was, let's see. Oh, now the next 4 things I want to talk about, I already made videos about, and they'll be out tomorrow, but I'll talk about them here while I'm live. Top ranked promoter Bob Arum, okay, big shout out to my man Bob Arum. He said that Anthony Joshua desperately needs to fight in the U.S., that it's time for him to make his American debut if he's really serious about raising his profile. Now, I'll read you his exact quotes. Here's what Bob Arum said. I quote, "He needs really desperately to come fight in the United States of America. And I say that not because I'm an American. I say it because economically the U.S. market is still the most important because the pay-per-view in the United States has potential of 200 million to 150 million homes. And that's what it is. So that's that. He also referred to Joshua's last couple of opponents as no-hopers. He's referring to Joseph Parker, Vladimir Klitschko, and Alexander Povetkin as no-hopers. That's a bit of a stretch. Obviously, I don't think Joshua was he wasn't an underdog in any of those fights, but those guys are not no-hopers. Those are all quality heavyweight opponents. But my thing is this, right? So Bob Arum is arguably, there's an argument to be made that he might even still be the best promoter in boxing. He's right there. I think him and Eddie Hearn are 1 and 2. You can, they're like this. Bob Arum, man, he's been in the boxing game for a long time, and he knows how to move fighters. He's created so many pay-per-view stars, and if he can sense that the time is now for Anthony Joshua to fight in America, right? Then we know Eddie Hearn has to be able to sense that too. Eddie Hearn's a pretty sharp guy. I've talked to him a couple times. The guy has to know that it's time for Anthony Joshua to make his American debut. Because look, unless he's fighting Wilder, Fury, or White, You know, and even with the White fight, not even White, unless he's fighting Wilder and Fury at Wembley Stadium, there's not really any much bigger he can get in the UK. You know, he's pretty much maxed out how big he can get in the UK. He is that guy in the UK. He's running the boxing scene in the UK. He's got it on lock. Okay, he's not gonna fight Fury or Wilder next. Those two are more than likely gonna fight each other because Wilder just said recently that, you know, Joshua like that he was happy with the most recent offer he got. Fury doesn't, you know, Fury's not happy with any of the offers he's received either. And plus, the WBC ordered Wilder and Fury to do a rematch. And it's honestly, I'm not even mad if they do because it was such a great fight the first time around. Why wouldn't I want to see it again? So there's that. And then, you know, Eddie Hearn made some offers to Dillian White. Dillian White wasn't happy with his offer either. He said he got incredibly lowballed in comparison to what Fury and Wilder received. So, you know, because those three fights are not going to more than likely those three fights are not going to be secure for Anthony Joshua. You know, the next best option is for him to make his American debut. And even if, you know, unless he's fighting Wilder or Fury at Wembley Stadium, from a business standpoint, there is nothing that makes more sense for Anthony Joshua to do than to make his American debut, because he's not very like known here in the States, and that's something that he needs to take care of if he really wants to be like this big star. I mean, he's a big star. I'm saying if he wants to be a bigger star, he needs to come to America because I'll give you an example. When he came here last May or June when NBA playoffs were going on, and he sat courtside for the Golden State Warriors Houston Rockets game. I'm gonna say it was game 2 or game 3. He was courtside at the Oracle Arena. Had a white shirt on. He was, you know, they showed him on camera, and basically like the announcers didn't even know how to say his name properly. They called him Anthony Johnson. They thought his name was Anthony Johnson. So that's what I'm saying. He's got to build his profile here in America, and you know, I think there's no better time than right now because, you know, Fury and Wilder are more than likely going to fight next. Dillian White is not happy with his offer, and really, even if he was happy with his offer and he took the fight, you know, him fighting Dillian White at Wembley Stadium isn't going to make Anthony Joshua a bigger name. It's not. But him fighting in America at Madison Square Garden, that will make him a bigger name. It'll raise his profile. So then if he does fight Wilder, let's say if he fights Wilder next, or whoever he fights next, more people will know who he is, and more people will get to see this what all the hype is about, what all the hoopla is about. So. I've thought ever since the Canelo Rocky Fielding fight, when Joshua was ringside for that, I thought since then, regardless of what Hearn said, regardless of what anything was being reported in the media, I always thought from that point forward that he was fighting Joe Miller. And as the days go by, more and more, it is looking exactly like that will happen. But again, if Bob Arum can see that, I know Eddie Hearn's got to see that. And I'm expecting fully that his next fight will be Joe Miller. And I'm just waiting for the announcement of it because it's really getting ridiculous. It's about to be like February any day now. So they need to make an announcement, but that's that. So moving on from that, is there anything else? Oh, one last thing before I get to your guys' comments and we start talking a little more. I don't have the article in front of me, but I did a video on it earlier, and that'll also be out probably in a couple hours. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Big shout out to the Pac-Man. He apparently he was sick for the Adrian Broner fight. Like, he actually was sick. He had a cold. Okay, now interesting stuff because I really haven't heard anybody talk about this. But the article is there. The article's online. You can go find it. It's on philboxing.com. You can. I found it on Reddit, on the boxing subreddit. So basically, Manny Pacquiao had a cold during the Adrian Broner fight. He had a runny nose. Dude was mad congested. I actually remember watching the fight, seeing him blow his nose a couple times in the corner. And I do remember that this was a thing because when I watched the press conference, when Adrian Broner was speaking, they had Manny Pacquiao lead the press conference a little early because they said he wasn't feeling well because he was sick. Elvis Grant, who was with Manny Pacquiao, came up to the microphone and he said, "Manny's sick, we got to go." So he was sick. But the interesting thing is his team wanted Manny Pacquiao to take some Benadryl, okay? Now, before you take or put any sort of substances in your body, whether it be medicine, whatever, you know, they wanted to make sure they actually went to Margaret Goodman, the president of VADA, and they wanted to go see like if there was any banned substance in Benadryl. And according to Manny Pacquiao's team, they never got hurt. They never heard anything back from VADA. So Manny Pacquiao just didn't take anything. He's fought with the cold. Now, the reason I bring this up is because a lot, especially recently, I don't know why, but recently, Manny Pacquiao has been getting a lot of criticism for like being some sort of heavy steroid user, right? But like I know for a fact at least five out of his last 6 fights, he's taken VADA drug testing. That's a fact. And if his team is going through, if they're that cautious to not even allow him to take Benadryl because they're afraid they might have a banned substance in it, I'm just saying, like, he went out of his way to avoid taking a banned substance, and nobody's really talking about it, but they'll talk about everything else. So I just found it pretty interesting. But there'll be a video out on that later. Stay tuned for it. It's pretty good stuff. To get to the comments, let's see. What did I miss? Okay. My main man guest card said, oh, I answered that already. He said, Ju Nanego says, Dimitri Bivol throws pad work punches. Yeah, Bivol has got a very amateur style. I don't know, man. It's funny, like, he looked great against Sullivan Barrera. I remember when he fought Sullivan Barrera, that was like his first test. He passed with flying colors, destroyed Sullivan Barrera. But I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I respect him. I think he's still a good light heavyweight, but I still don't. Like, I don't look at him as the best light heavyweight. A lot of people still view him as that guy, light heavyweight. Some people do. I mean, I think Vaz could beat him. I think Beater even him is about 50-50. I think Marcus Brown is competitive with him. Like, I don't think Bivol is unbeatable, straight up. But yeah, you're right. He does throw power punches, and you know, some guys, when they have those deep amateur pedigrees, those, like, long amateur careers, they don't ever fully transition to the pro game. Like, one guy that to me is like the poster boy for that is Amir Khan. He is someone who never, and I repeat, almost like, well, I don't want to say never, but for the majority of his career, he never really transitioned into becoming a pro fighter. When you're saying, well, what do you mean, Brennan? He's had like 35 plus fights as a pro. Yeah, but even though he's had 35 plus fights as a pro, he always fights in an amateur style where he's just looking to score points. He's not like for example, when he fought Maidana, right? That's when he fought like a pro. Like that fight right there, it was a good example of when he fought like a pro. Because yeah, he was throwing those blistering fast combinations, but you saw him going to the body. You saw him throwing punches to hurt people. But for the majority of Amir Khan's career, he throws punches to just score punches. And when you get to the pro game, it's like you can't just throw punches to score punches. You got to throw punches to actually hurt your opponent. And I don't think you really fully ever grasp that in the pro ranks. But that's just my opinion. So Bivol is kind of the same thing to me. Let's see. The Fight Scout says it doesn't look good for Kovalev, even though there is no evidence yet. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't. And right now, just with the way things are in America, it's like you can't. It doesn't even matter if it's true. If a woman makes an allegation against you like that, as this woman has to Kovalev, you're in some deep crap. And it's just not the kind of thing you'd want to see him go through before he's fighting, you know, a big rematch on February the 23rd or the 2nd, whatever it's happening against Alvarez. So you know, I like Kovalev, man, as a fighter, but his life seemingly went down the drain since he lost the war the first time. But it is what it is. LR Chiga says Demetrius Andrade has the right style to beat Charlo. Listen, my friend. Demetrius Andrade has the right style to beat anybody at 160. Anyone. Golovkin, Canelo, Jacobs, whoever you want. When they actually decide to put him in with those guys, he'll have the style to beat any one of those fighters. I'm not saying I'm not gonna favor him against all those guys, but I'm saying, like, he can win rounds and do so many things at a high level that, you know, I don't see him not being competitive against the likes of Canelo, the likes of Charlo, the likes of Triple G. You know, I really do rate Andrade that highly as a fighter. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. LR Chiga also goes on by saying Brown is one of the dirtiest fighters in the sport. I mean, that may or may not be true, but I'm just completely disregarding that. Like, his performance against Badou Jack, he really wasn't that dirty against Badou Jack. And honestly, like, Bado Jack was the one coming with his head when he fought Marcus Brown. Bado Jack was the one that was like, smothering the daylights out of him to the point where he was almost mauling him. Like I remember one time, I think it was around 3 or 4, the dude literally just like, he was in his high guard like this, and he literally just dropped his high guard and ran at freaking Marcus Brown. I remember telling my boy Alex, like this dude Bado Jack looks like Luke Keishley from the Carolina Panthers, just dogging this dude. But Marcus Brown, man, like to me, he's an enigma, man. He's an enigma because obviously, if you're an Olympian, if you make the American Olympic team, as and granted, the Olympic team that he was on might arguably be the worst Olympic team in the history of American amateur boxing, but still, he made the Olympic team. And he had a really good amateur career. The New York City area, has really good. You look at him and he has some things going for him. He's athletic build, can move really well, has good fundamentals. It just always seems to be an up here thing with Marcus Brown. You see what I'm saying? And in the Bado Jack fight, I just thought he put it all. I think for the first time from all the fights I've seen of his, he put it all together. And I don't know if that's gonna happen in his next fight because everything changes fight by fight, with these fighters. But I'm just saying, if the guy that fought Bado Jack can show up against Alexander Vasic, that's going to be a very interesting fight. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. The Fight Scout says he doesn't. Look at the positioning of Andrade's feet, and you'll see he's tailor-made for Charlo. But I'm not saying Charlo can beat him. Well, Fight Scout. First of all, I'm assuming we're talking about Jamal Charlo because he's the one at 160. I think Dimitri. Look, not to use a Korobov fight as too much of a barometer, but I think it's a good barometer because Korobov was an experienced southpaw, can counterpunch, can do a lot of things in the ring at a high level. And Andrade is a lot more athletic than Korobov. Andrade can do a lot more things at this point in his career better than Korobov can. And I don't know, man. I think the fight with him and Jamal Charlo, to me, that's like I would very slightly favor Demetrius Andrade, just because I think like when Jamal Charlo can't find when he can't land his jab on you, or if he can't get that established against you, he's very beatable. Very beatable. And the thing is, too, against Korbov's not even the most slick fighter in the world, but Korbov was able to take that jab away from him for like at least the first 4 or 5 rounds, and that's why he was in the fight. But it wasn't until Charlo established that jab that everything else followed, and he was able to just edge that fight out. And against Andrade, he's more crafty. He does things more. He does more like craftier things. He's more predictable than a guy like Korbov. To me, that's a fight where I would see Andrade winning a very close decision. Probably having to survive a knockdown because I do think Charlo might catch him at some point. But that's a fight that I hope could happen. I just want to see Andrade in some important fights because what his career has always lacked is important fights. We know, ever since he came out of the Olympic team in 2004, this guy was one of the most highly regarded American amateurs in quite some time. Like he was that guy coming out the Olympics, and his whole career has just been, riddled with promotional issues and inactivity, and probably more so than any other top level fighter I can think of in America. Promotional issues, lack of activity, and even when he is fighting, they're not the fights that we want to see him in. He's fighting the Brian Roses of the world, the Van Rosens, the Willie Nelsons of the world. Who was the other guy he fought? I don't remember his name. But I'm just saying, like, he doesn't have those. He hasn't had that one big marquee fight yet, and he's not getting any younger. The guy's 30 years old, so the time is now. He's finally got. It's taking all this time. He's finally got with a good promotional outfit with Matchroom Boxing USA and DAZN. A kind of promoter that's going to keep him active. In Eddie Hearn. He fought in what was it, November against Walter Kakadawa. And he fought just this past weekend against Arthur Akavov. So it's good to see him active. Now that he's active, I want to see him in a big fight next. So hopefully, now he's getting a big fight next. What am I talking about? He's fighting Billy Joe Saunders next. They they reinstated Saunders and they lifted the suspension. So good, it's good that that's happening because now we can see them in there with the former world champion, a guy that is respected in the middleweight division. And then after that, you know, if he can get past that, you know, then I want to see him in there with Gennady Golovkin, who he himself said that he can beat, that he'll destroy. So he wants that fight, and I would love to see it. Let's see. LR Chiga says, so what's 2019? Who will win fight of the FOTD? Oh, wait, fighter of the day? What's FOTD? Fighter of the year, fighter of the day, fighter. I don't know what the FOTD is, but I'm gonna assume you're saying who's gonna win fight of the year. So fight of the year, I mean, I don't know, man. Like a lot of good fights. I mean, honestly, call me basic, but like I think if anything, one of those big heavyweight fights come off, you know, those are pretty safe bets. If Jaime Munguia versus Jarrett Hurd ever happens, that's a pretty good fight. Romo Gonzalez versus Donnie Nietes would be a good fight. If who will win fighter of the decade? Oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. That's a good question, man. Well, fighter of the decade, you raised a pretty good question. We still got some change. There's a couple of names I think you could mention. Obviously, you guys saw the obvious ones. You know, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Those guys. You know, those guys did a lot. You know, Gennady Golovkin will be in the running. You would assume Canelo Alvarez will be in the running. You know, you got to throw in Lomachenko maybe. Romo Gonzalez. You know, he had a pretty damn good decade. That's a good question, man. I would definitely say, I mean, let's see. Let me see, because I got to make sure I got my dates right here before I just go spewing my mouth here. Honestly, without looking at his resume yet, I would definitely say that your main man, Manny Pacquiao, will have a pretty good claim, I think. Again, fighter of the decade, because let's look. Let's give it a look. You said Canelo, okay. Let's start 2010. Let's see. So here are the list of fighters Manny Pacquiao has defeated from 2010 on up, okay? So he has defeated Joshua Clottey, Tony Margarito, Shane Mosley, Juan Manuel Marquez, Brandon Rios, Tim Bradley, Chris Algieri, Tim Bradley, Jesse Vargas, Jeff Warner, Lucas Batista, Adrian Broner. Okay. I don't know about that one. I don't know. You know, honestly, let's see. Canelo's beating who? Triple G. It's pretty good. He's fighting Jacobs. He beats him. Triple G and Jacobs. You know what? Honestly, I don't even know, man. Some people might say Andre Ward. You know, truthfully speaking, man, let's see. Let me make sure. Because honestly, y'all ain't gonna like my answer. Y'all ain't gonna like my answer. Fighter of the decade. Man, honestly, call me crazy, man. I think Romo Gonzalez has a great claim to fighter of the decade. I don't even care, bro. Like Romo Gonzalez, I thought he beat Ramos at the first fight. Okay, he didn't get it on paper, but I thought he beat him. A lot of people thought he beat him. But even if you take away the Ramos side fights, right? Look at the guys he's beaten in this decade. Romo Gonzalez. He's literally destroyed his whole weight class. This whole decade. You had the likes of let's see, Francisco Rosas, former world champion. Let's see, you got Juan Francisco Estrada, Kiri Yagashi, Edgar Sosa, Brian Valoria, Williams Arroyo, Carlos Cuadras, Moises Fuentes. I mean, I don't know, man. You know, Estrada, Cuadras, like that's pretty damn good. I mean, Lomachenko what? Lomachenko beat what? Walters, Linares, Pedraza, Rigondeaux. Yeah, but he took Pacquiao, so he's disqualified. He can't be fighter of the decade. He just took Pacquiao, man. Like, just joking. But he'll be in the running. Lomachenko will be in the running. I would say Loma will be in the running. Pacquiao will be in the running. Honestly, it's still up in the air, man. I mean, I think it's still up in the air. Who do I think will be fighter of the decade? conventional wisdom tells you it'll probably be Canelo, because I mean Canelo has the names. He's been in a lot of big time fights. He's gonna be in more big time fights moving forward. You know, he's in a division stacked with just great fights for him, and he has a great chance of winning all of them because he's a damn good fighter. But I mean Canelo, I mean a Triple G win is pretty damn good. Yeah, honestly, bro. Honestly, you know what? F it, bro. Roman Gonzalez is the fighter of the decade to me. The dude, like the guy, literally destroyed his entire weight class. Like literally, anybody who was anybody in the weight class that wanted to fight him, he destroyed them. And then even the ones that people were clamoring to see him fight, like Nayo the Monster Inoue, he ducked Roman. He ducked Roman clear as day, and fought Omar Narvaez. And honestly, like there's no fighter that I can think of. And this goes for like even now. Like Canelo didn't take on challenges like Roman Gonzalez. Lomachenko didn't take on challenges like Roman Gonzalez. The only fighter that I could put on the same level as far as taking the kind of risks Roman took in his career this decade, I would say are like, I mean, I would definitely say like, you know, Pacquiao, because he fought Margarito earlier in the decade. And Pacquiao just always he's always willing to fight the best. It's just a matter of if they're willing to fight him. And then Alexander Usyk, you know, Alexander Usyk, he probably even more so than Roman Gonzalez, destroyed like his weight class. He even more than Roman, he destroyed it. Like there's literally nobody for him to fight in his weight class other than Denis Lebedev. And really, who's clamoring for him to fight Denis Lebedev? I mean, the guys that really mattered in his weight class, he beat them all. He beat them all. Bellew, Gassiev, Bradis, Huck. You know, Amir Khan. Well, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Amir Khan took big risks, but I mean, yeah, he took big risks. I'm not gonna disrespect Amir Khan. He took a lot of big risks. You know, he fought Canelo. He's fighting Terrence Crawford now. He fought Marcos Maidana. I don't know if that was his decade. He fought Marcos Maidana. He wanted to fight Pacquiao. He wanted to fight Floyd, and people wanted to see him fight Floyd, but the fights never happened. So, yeah, I mean, I guess Amir, but I mean, honestly, the more I think about it, I really think Roman Gonzalez has a legitimate like claim to that fighter of the decade. I do think I'm not going to sit here and just give it to him now because obviously there's still a whole 2 years left, a year and some change left, nearly 2 years left. He's got to have at least one more like great win before this decade is over. So if he beats like for example, like this year, a big fight for Roman Gonzalez that's being talked about and rumored is him fighting Donny Nietes, who I would say is at this moment in time, you can make a claim that Donny Nietes is definitely the 10th best fighter in the world. This is a guy, Donny Nietes, that you know and the thing is, Donny Nietes wants that fight. Donny Nietes wants that fight, and that he's wanted that fight for a long time with Roman Gonzalez, and he's even went as far as to say that that Roman Gonzalez fight is his dream fight. And you know, Roman is highly ranked. Roman is highly ranked in multiple sanctioning bodies. He's not highly ranked in the WBO sanctioning body, but I know he's highly ranked in the WBC. He's highly ranked in the WBA. So, you know, if he beats him, you know, it'll move up Nietes in the rankings, and it's Roman Gonzalez. So, like, if you beat him, it's still a great win to have. But I mean, this is a guy, Nietes, who's beaten some really good fighters himself. You know, some of the same fighters Roman is beating, like Edgar Sosa, like Moises Fuentes, Francisco Rodriguez Jr. You know, he's been in some important fights, and he's probably one of the more, in my opinion, he's one of those guys that is really good, but we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about how skillful he is, because he's probably one of the only small fighters in boxing right now who has mastered the art of being in these low weight classes where thousands of punches are being thrown, but being able to fight in a manner where you don't have to throw as many punches. You don't have to throw 800, 900,000 punches to win a fight. You know, he's really, really skillful. And if Roman beats him, oh my God, then Roman Gonzalez has to be the fighter of the decade. He has to. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, for Christ's sakes, the guy put an entire weight class on the map. All right, he took a whole weight class and made it relevant just because of him. It was that. So yeah, right now for me, if you ask me that question, it's Roman Gonzalez. But I say that, and I say that he needs one last big win. If he beats like a Donny Nietes, or let's say he has a Estrada rematch and beats Estrada, or if he somehow ever got the Inoue fight, which is not gonna happen, but if he beat him, or if he beats Rungvisai, you know, they fight a third time, you know, then I think for me, it'll cement it. because he's been in big fights. He's been in important fights. More importantly, he's been in entertaining fights. He's given boxing fans a lot of great moments. He's been the pound. Another thing, he's been the pound for pound king. I don't think you should even be considered for fighter of the decade if you haven't been at least top 3 for pound. So unless you're like Roman Gonzalez, Pacquiao, Mayweather, like Roman Gonzalez, Pacquiao, Mayweather, Canelo, guys like that. You know, the fighter of the decade can only be between about 5 people. One of them's retired. The other one is, you know, semi-retired. The other one is still active. You know, so we'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah, Roman Gonzalez for me, to answer your question. Let's see. I don't mean to mention him as a candidate. I'm just saying he took big risks, but my pick is Roman too. Okay, so we're all on the same page on bias or biased boxing talk. We're on the same page. Like, Roman Gonzalez is that guy. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do this year because, honestly, there's only so many fighters in boxing. Like I tell this to Alex, my friend Alex, all the time. I was like, there's only a couple of fighters where, like, when they fight, like when I see the name on the card, I'm like, damn, gotta watch him fight. And like Roman Gonzalez is one of those guys because you know whether win, lose, or draw, you're gonna get a great fight. So that's that. Dr. Boxing, he says Danny Garcia had a good run too. Absolutely, Danny Garcia did have a good run, beating the likes of obviously Amir Khan, beating the likes of Luke Batiste. And going back to the Amir Khan fight, you know, he beat Amir Khan, and quite frankly, Amir Khan has never really been the same after that. So, you know, he beat Amir Khan, beat Luke Batiste when Luke Batiste was like that big puncher in the division. You know, went on to welterweight, picked up a title, has been involved in some important fights, you know, fights that he didn't get the decision in, but fights that he still gave a good account of himself, important fights like against Keith Thurman, against Sean Porter. And he's fighting my boy Granados next, and you know, I hope his losing streak continues, honestly. But yeah, no, Danny Garcia had a good run. I'll definitely give it to him because he's someone that you know, I've criticized a lot in the past, and he's gotten a lot of criticism in the past from boxing fans and boxing experts. And you know, he's someone that we should at least, you know, if we're gonna talk about him, at least talk about the good as well. Like, so yeah, he had a good run. But to me, yeah, the fighter of the decade is it's between Pacquiao, Floyd, Roman Gonzalez, Canelo, and I think maybe maybe Anthony Joshua or Fury might be able to make a late run at it. But if we're talking about fighter of the decade, we had to talk about fighters who had a consistent 10 years of just greatness. And we'll talk about consistency of 10 years greatness. We must talk about Roman Gonzalez. Even though right now, you know, his last 3 fights, he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights, coming off a big win against Moises Fuentes. But you know, he still needs a bigger win than Moises Fuentes. You know, he's got to do better than that. So. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up on Biased Boxing Talk. So you asked me, what's your opinion on Jorge Linares? I like Jorge Linares. He's a good fighter. You know, I think with Linares, and I joke around with my friend about this all the time. Is like I always joke around. I say any fight Jorge Linares is in is always 50-50 fight because of his chin. You know, he's a guy that's prone to get stopped, and it's happened a lot of times. But he's someone to me who I admire a lot, actually, believe it or not, because this is a guy that early in his career, he took some really tough losses, like when he fought Juan Carlos Salgado and got stopped. Early in his career, like that, you know, he was on the fast track towards success. You know, he fights the tough Mexican and Juan Carlos Salgado, gets stopped, and then he had to go through kind of a tough time in his career. You know, won a couple of decent fights against like the Rocky Juarez of the world. You know, then got stopped 2 times in succession, you know, boom, boom. Tony DeMarco stops him. Sergio Thompson stops him. Then it's like, okay, well, you got stopped. Well, what are you going to do now with your career? And then he had to kind of just build himself back up. And then, you know, he had some good wins. He beat the likes of Kevin Mitchell. He beat the likes of Anthony Crawler, Luke Campbell. And he positioned himself really well for that Lomachenko fight. And I'll say this about Linares, like he's not as good as people would like to think, but he's not as bad either. Because sometimes people go a little hard on Linares because he's very chinny. All 5 of his losses, he's been stopped. All 5 of his losses, this man's been stopped. And he got stopped recently by Pablo Cesar Cano. which was a very sad to watch because Pablo Cesar Cano, this is a guy, for anybody who knows Pablo Cesar Cano, yes, he's a tough fighter. Yes, he's someone that, you know, when he's involved in a fight, you usually get some decent action. But Pablo Cesar Cano is a guy that loses all of his big fights almost. You know, the guy has lost to Fidel Maldonado Jr. He's lost, you know, to the likes of you know, Fernando Angulo, Pedro Angulo. You know, lost a close fight to Paulie Malignaggi. You know, this is a guy that's struggling for a big win his whole career. And gosh darn it, he got it against Jorge Linares because Jorge Linares just was he doesn't have the durability. I don't want to say he doesn't have the heart. I think he has the heart, but he doesn't have the durability to compete as high as 140. He doesn't have that kind of durability. You see what I'm saying? And it was exposed against Pablo Cesar Cano. So that's what it is there, man. Right now it's 6:47 p.m. here on the East Coast. Hope you guys are enjoying the live stream. Let me know what city, what state, what continent you guys are watching the stream from tonight. For those of you who don't know, I just went through some of the boxing news. I'm going to try to do this every other day at least. So it's something to try on my channel. We'll see how it goes. And I like interacting with you guys. For those of you who like my channel and want to see me continue to progress and move forward, you know, hit that super chat down there. Hit that paper, that super chat, and you know, donate to the channel as you feel led to. You know, if you like what I have going on here on True School Sports. Let's see. Shout out to my main man, Ulad. He says Ortiz ducking Usyk, fighting another bum and Christian Hammer, just like he ducked the white fight to fight Travis Kaufman. Ortiz is fighting bums because he knows Wilder will give him another belt shot without fighting anyone. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm very disappointed with Luis Ortiz's next opponent because I was hoping that, you know, okay, he fought Travis Kaufman. I thought that was right because Travis Kaufman had been on Luis Ortiz. In fact, I did an interview with Travis Kaufman years ago, like 4 years ago, where he called out Luis Ortiz and said that he's a king. If he's a King Kong on the Twin Towers, I'm gonna beat him and all that stuff. So I didn't mind the Kaufman fight. I also thought Kaufman was durable enough to get to Ortiz in good rounds, and he did, but he wasn't able. He didn't have the skills to defeat Luis Ortiz. And now he's fighting Christian Hammer, a guy that, you know, was a somewhat of a name, you know, as far as the like being a gatekeeper a gatekeeper type fighter. I remember when he fought Tyson Fury. He was Tyson Fury's last opponent before he fought Klitschko. And you know, it's a fight where Ortiz should really just go in there and just blast him out of there. Really, he really should. And it's unfortunate because, you know, we heard rumblings of Ortiz versus Joe Joyce, and I was really excited for that because Joe Joyce was, you know, he's on the come up, he's on the fast track. I would have loved to see that how Ortiz handles a guy like Joe Joyce, but it wasn't to be, and now he's fighting Christian Hammer. So, you know, it's really unfortunate for Luis Ortiz, and honestly, like, it's just looking really bad for him. Shane Mosley beat Cano too. Yeah, he did. He did beat Pablo Cesar Cano. You're right. Remember that. Michael Stott. Shout out to my main man, Michael Stott. He said he's watching from Oxnard, California. Big shout out to the Oxnard boxing, good fight town as far as fighters they produce. They got at the Robert Garcia gym out there. So big shout out to Oxnard. Oh, you know, one thing I also wanted to talk about, because I didn't get a chance to watch this fight live when it happened on Saturday, because I watched the DAZN card with Demetrius Andrade and Arthur Akabov, but I had a chance to watch. I didn't watch the whole fight, but I made it through the first 7 rounds, and I'm gonna finish watching it later. I had a chance to watch Bryant Bye Jennings versus Oscar Rivas, man. And I'll say this about that fight from what I saw. You know, Bryant Jennings against Oscar Rivas, it really just exposed. I don't want to say exposed, but like Bryant Jennings, man, I thought his performance was a bit disappointing against Rivas. You know, Rivas is a strong, sturdy heavyweight. He's got thump in both hands, can punch your lights out, and he did it in the 12th round against Jennings. But like I was watching it, and Jennings spent the majority of the first 7 rounds just like moving laterally around the ring, throwing these like flicking jabs. And just showed so much reluctance to throw the right hand. I understand why he wasn't throwing the right hand. He didn't want to throw the right hand because he didn't want to get he didn't want to be vulnerable to getting countered and getting hit with something really hard by Rivas, right? But I'm just saying, like, Brian Jennings didn't really, in my opinion, those first couple rounds, he didn't set the tone. He didn't even try to like impose himself on Rivas. And I know that's not. I know Brian Jennings isn't the most powerful puncher in the world, but he needed to present himself as more of a threat to Rivas, and I think he's failed to do that. Like my man Unbiased Boxing Talk said, Rivas had never won 12 rounds before, so Jennings took him to the 12th round and the deep waters, and Rivas showed that, hey, that was a wrong game plan. And it's just unfortunate for Brian Jennings, because now I think we can say for sure that like his career, as far as getting that world title shot that he's been kind of building his way towards since he lost to Ortiz, it's probably over. It really is, because what is it? Brian Jennings, I know he's in his 30s. It's a guy like 32, 33. He's not a spring chicken. And like Brian Jennings, even in his last fight when he fought Dimitrenko, right? He fought Dimitrenko, got knocked down in the fight, got up the camera, stopped him, but like he's been showing vulnerability. So it's unfortunate the fall from grace Brian Jennings has had in his career. This is a guy that at one point in time, if you go back as early as 2012, this is a guy that many people believed was the best American heavyweight boxing prospect, and to be fair, he probably was at that time. And he looked pretty good. He had some good wins against the likes of Archer Spilka, Mike Perez. And then the fuckery with his career just began. Like the man was being promoted by Gary Shaw. They put him in some really horrible fights he was not ready for, and I think those two fights destroyed his confidence and morale as a fighter. When he fought Klitschko, lost, then fought Luis Ortiz right after fighting Klitschko, got blasted out the ring in that fight. And then he had a long layoff. So his career is like the mismanagement of it. It's kind of a bit frustrating to me, because I think Brian Jennings did have some potential, but I think those two fights really did destroy his morale as a fighter. But like he does some things really well. Like he's pretty crafty. He's got a long arm. He's athletic. But Brian Jennings, like when I look at Brian Jennings, I see everything that the American heavyweight is now. And I'm gonna be doing a video about this soon, about like what happens to the American heavyweight, because I saw a video on Bruce Vane's channel. Big shout out to my main man. Big shout out to my main man, Bruce Vane. I love Bruce Vane. One of my favorite channels on YouTube, even though we disagree on some things. I disagree with him about Pacquiao, but aside from that, even those videos, I enjoy all the stuff that man puts out. Great stuff from Bruce Vane. But he did a video basically about what's happening to American heavyweights, and it really made me think. And I looked at Brian Jennings, man, and like this is a guy that was considered widely to be the best American heavyweight boxing prospect back in 2012. Freddie Roach said that back in 2012. And when you look at Brian Jennings, he fits the bill with what the American heavyweight is, and that is guys who start boxing later on in their lives, who come from other sports. Boxing wasn't their first sport. So, like for example, Dominic Brazil was a football player, college football player. Gerald Washington, college football player. Those guys were, guys who started boxing later on in their lives. Same thing with Brian Jennings, a guy that was, I believe, played football or basketball in college. But super athletic. And what's happening with a lot of the American heavyweights is that boxing is not their first choice of sport, because the pussification of America has taken place, and boxing is not really like something that a lot of kids want to get into, because they figure, why get punched in the mouth, and when I can only make $1 million doing that, when I can go hit a baseball and make $100 million doing it, it makes sense. It makes sense. So with that being said, Brian Jennings is like a lot of the American heavyweights, to where he's relying a lot on his athleticism to get by. You see what I'm saying? Guys that start boxing like later on in America, like from other sports, they're way behind, because these guys in the UK, like, I gotta tip my cap to the UK, because they got the heavyweight boxing on lock. I mean, oh my god, all the best heavyweights are from the UK, all of them. The 4 best heavyweights in the world right now are Dillian White, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and Anthony Joshua. Okay, 3 of them guys are from the UK. And they got some other ones coming up behind those guys. They had the likes of Daniel Dubois coming up. I think Lawrence Okolie might be a heavyweight at some point one day, so he might be a pretty heavyweight. Joe Joyce, I think, is British as well. I might be wrong about that one, but don't go. They got some really good heavyweights over there in the UK. So I'm just saying, man, like America is really, really behind. I mean, we're like what has happened to the American heavyweight? Like, I mean, we got Deontay Wilder, who's our best heavyweight, which just says a lot. Even though he's a very hard puncher, there's nothing behind him really. We have like Jarrell Miller, we have Trevor Bryan, we have some Cassius Chaney, like Brian Jennings, like we have some guys who are like solid top 30 guys, but like aside from Deontay Wilder and maybe Jarrell Miller, none of these guys are really standing out. They're not, and it's really concerning for the state of American heavyweight boxing. So hopefully we can have our time again one day. But right now it's the UK's time, unfortunately. So that's that. Let's see. Let me get to this comments. People only build Jennings up to make Ortiz best win very credible to make it seem like Wilder's resume is great. Well, I can't speak for other people, but I don't do that. I've always I think Brian Jennings is one of like the better heavyweights out there. Like to me, he's definitely a top. Even with the loss, I'll still class him as a top 15 heavyweight, like maybe towards like the 14, 15 range, because his athleticism gets him through a lot of fights and it wins him a lot of fights. And he has had some good heavyweight wins in the past. Like he beat Dimitrenko, he's beaten Archer Spilka, he's beaten Mike Perez. He has some good wins at heavyweight. And he's been there with some good heavyweights, and he's given a good account of himself in some of these fights. So with that being said, man, like Brian Jennings is not a horrible heavyweight. You lad says when Ortiz wins now, Jennings lost. Kaufman or Dave Allen? Are you asking me if he's going to fight Travis Kaufman or Dave Allen? Oh, no, you're asking me who's his best win. Nah, Brian Jennings is still better than Travis Kaufman and Dave Allen. Come on, man. Don't disrespect Brian Jennings like that. My main man, Ped. What's up, Ped? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Yeah, man, I just life, man. Life's been getting in the way, so that's why you haven't seen as much of me, man. But still grinding it out, man. It's a slow grind, but we're grinding it out. The Fight Scout says, I think it's the guys that start with boxing that aren't the best. Nah, you out your mind, bro. Are you serious? All the best fighters of all time have been most of the best fighters of all time have been guys who started boxing early on in life, or at least in their adolescent, at least in their early adolescent years, at least. Not to say that you can't be like 25 or 24 or 23 and not have a great career. I mean, Rocky Marciano didn't turn pro until he was like what 25 or 26, and he look what he did in his career. So can't say that for everybody. Everybody's different, but generally speaking, if you have fighters that start like earlier in their career, it is better. Earlier in their life, it is better for their careers. Yeah, we do have a lot of sports here in America. And the thing is, like, as a kid, right? Like, so I'll just speak from personal experience myself. So when I was growing up, I live in South Florida. So I live about 45 minutes north of Miami. I live in the Miami area, and where I live, football, American football, the NFL, college football is very big. So generally speaking, high school football is very big. And all you see on TV, all I saw on TV growing up was football, football, football. You go to the supermarkets here, people all talk about is football, football, football. This is a football crazy city. You see what I'm saying? And then we have other sports. We have like baseball. We have 4 major sports teams here. We have the Marlins. We have the Heat. We have the Dolphins. We have the Florida Panthers. We have college sports. So like, it's really hard for boxing to capture the mind of young people in America because there's so many options. See what I'm saying? And that's not even factoring in other sports. Like if you're like a kid that's rich, you're playing sports like tennis and golf. You ain't thinking about boxing. So, yeah, it's really tough for boxing in America. But let's see. It's 7 o'clock here in America. I've had a wonderful time talking to you guys. I'm gonna try to do this a little more, like where I get here and I just kind of recap the news, because a lot of times when I try to do these news videos, there's so much news that comes out, and I think it's just better to do it this way. So I'm gonna try doing it this way, and maybe you guys like it more. But I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here, guys. So it was great talking as always. I've had a pleasure being on here with you guys. I'll try to come back live for tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, I'll be back live on Wednesday. So stay tuned for Wednesday, and we'll definitely be recapping the news then, and I'll be catching up with you guys then. So yeah, like I say in every single one of my videos, you know, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from being it. So until next time, take care, guys.